Every standard history of the 20th century begins with the same claim, that the airplane was invented by the Wright brothers on December 17, 1903. It is a narrative of two brothers and a dream of flight, culminating in 12 seconds over the sands of North Carolina, a moment that redefined the limits of human mobility. But that story, as inspiring as it is, rests on the assumption that no one else reached the sky first. When a single date becomes a global certainty, evidence that suggests a different timeline is often dismissed as an error or an impossibility. To find the documentation for one such event, we must look back to a beach in India, 8 years before Kitty Hawk. In 1895, reports surfaced of a manned flying machine successfully launching into the air over the coast of Bombay. The machine didn't come from a modern laboratory. Its engine and wing designs were reportedly pulled from ancient blueprints written thousands of years ago. Isofunctional aircraft took flight in 1895. The established timeline of human aviation would require a complete chronological shift. Welcome to the BHARAT Files. This is where we examine the records that history tried to close. Our mission is to track down suppressed technologies and the scientific foundations of Bharat that have been left out of the global record. We bring this evidence forward to investigate a legacy sidelined for over a century. This specific file is notable for the sheer complexity of the machine described and the unconventional sources used to build it. The way these achievements were ignored suggests a systematic effort to ensure non-Western breakthroughs remained unacknowledged. One scholar's work in particular faced a historical community that seemed more interested in protecting their existing narrative than in examining his results. His research relied on what were considered ancient forbidden texts, manuscripts many viewed as purely mythological. This diagram shows how specific Sanskrit terminology from those texts aligns with modern principles like thrust, lift, and drag. The resistance from mainstream historians is a reaction to findings that would force them to reconsider the entire history of technology. At the center of this case is the scholar Shivkar Bapuji Talpade. Talpade is the man who reportedly successfully applied ancient Vedic mechanics to create a functional aircraft years before the Wright Flyer. His work represents a chapter of Indian science that was largely erased under the weight of colonial history. Talpade didn't claim to have invented the machine's core concepts. He saw himself as the man who turned ancient technical descriptions into physical reality. These are the manuscript pages he utilized for his designs, a grid layout that details specific proportions for the craft's internal systems. The density of the information in these texts is precisely why they are so difficult for modern historians to ignore. We are now opening the investigation into the forgotten flight of Shivkar Bapuji Talpade. If the technical data in these manuscripts is valid, the true history of flight is much older than any modern textbook admits. The year is 1895. We are on Chowpatty Beach in Bombay, India. This is 8 full years before the Wright brothers will officially fly at Kitty Hawk. A massive crowd covers the sand. Among them are high-ranking British colonial officials, alongside prominent Indian royalty. They are focused on a strange, unmanned object sitting on the beach. It is a large cylinder framed with bamboo, rigged with rectangular sails, and filled with liquid mercury. The locals call it the Marutsakha, the friend of the wind. The inventor, Shivkar Bapuji Talpade, triggers the ignition. The liquid mercury engine engages. The crowd watches in absolute stunned silence as the bamboo machine lifts off the sand. Historical accounts claim the machine ascended to an altitude of 1,500 feet, staying airborne for several minutes before the trial reached its limit. Then the thrust fails. The heavy apparatus plummets from the sky and violently shatters against the beach. leaving behind a pile of broken bamboo and an engineering mystery. To understand what crashed on that beach, we have to ask how a Sanskrit language teacher living in the late 19th century achieved this level of aerodynamics. Talpade didn't look forward to modern physics. He looked backward, deep into antiquity. In ancient Sanskrit texts, there is a specific word, Vimana. It translates directly to a machine that can fly. Rather than treating ancient epics as cultural myths, Talpade approached them as highly detailed instruction manuals. He focused his research on one specific esoteric text called the Vaimanika Shastra. This diagram illustrates what Talpade extracted from those pages. It shows how the Marutsakha used liquid mercury. By heating the metal, the system creates an ion thrust, expelling energy downward to generate lift. Mainstream academia generally classifies these ancient texts as mythology, creating a sharp divide with Talpade's technical interpretation. The standard consensus is that early humans simply liked to invent stories about gods flying in chariots. However, this view ignores massive stone monoliths on different continents that appear to share the same distinct geometric profile. Look at the Kailasa temple in India. It is a massive structure carved straight out of a single mountain bedrock. Over 2,000 miles away, the Prambanan temple in Indonesia features a nearly identical vertical spire design. This diagram shows the direct structural match. When you take the wireframe of those ancient stone spires, they align perfectly with the internal bamboo framework of Talpade's Marutsakha. Talpade simply took those structural shapes, decoded the ancient Sanskrit instructions for the chemical reactions involving heated mercury, and rebuilt what our ancestors were trying to describe. The 1895 flight points to a cyclical history. It suggests that ancient mythology might actually be an encrypted ledger of high technology, waiting for someone to look past the metaphor. What happens to a breakthrough that changes everything, only to vanish weeks later? In 1895, Shivkar Bapuji Talpade reportedly flew his prototype to 1,500 feet. The silence that followed was a direct product of the political reality in late 19th century India, where the subcontinent remained under absolute British colonial rule. The British Empire relied on the premise of European scientific superiority. A native Indian scholar surpassing the empire's top minds represented an existential threat to that colonial authority. The reaction was immediate. Talpade's funding was cut off without explanation. With no capital to repair or maintain a machine, the Marutsakha was left to rot in a backyard. British authorities employed a strategy of financial starvation to ensure the prototype never challenged the colonial hierarchy again. Following Talpade's death, his research underwent a final erasure. A British firm reportedly purchased his blueprints and notes, which promptly disappeared from all public records. History is written by the victors. While Talpade was scrubbed from the record, Wilbur and Orville Wright became the permanent faces of human aviation. The successful flight at Kitty Hawk became the global baseline, a narrative that effectively locked Talpade out of the 20th century. By seizing physical research, colonial powers successfully reset the timeline of human invention. Our modern perspective is often clouded by chronological snobbery, the assumption that earlier generations lacked the capacity for complex scientific thought. Because of this bias, these ancient manuscripts are typically filed away as religious poetry or myths, rather than serious scientific documentation. Talpade achieved the impossible by ignoring the labels and treating these specific verses like literal engineering blueprints. These texts served as a technical language for engineering. lost only because we stopped knowing how to translate their specific mechanical instructions. This 1895 milestone suggests our ancestors' technical roadmaps were meant to be built. Talpade's name is absent from textbooks, but his work remains a point of origin for anyone who looks at the sky and wonders about our forgotten past. The BHARAT Files investigates these historical gaps, analyzing thousands of Sanskrit texts to identify the science buried within them. To bring these findings to the world, I need your help. Subscribe, turn on the bell icon, and share this video with those who value historical accuracy. Our next investigation is already underway, focusing on a file that challenges even deeper historical assumptions. Documenting the suppression of the Marutsakha is the first step in a broader effort to archive the scientific history of Bharat. I'll see you in the next one.